is there anything that physique athletes / strength athletes do that you find is not valuable for their goals? So you think
too much specificity, too much intensity year round.
So for
a strength athlete,
so people pursuing strength, so squat, bench, deadlift,
too heavy, too often, too specific, too much.
Yeah.
And they don't actually put time in. So essentially, if you look at so we're terming it athlete, right? Which in my head means you're going to do a test of performance, whether that's in the gym doing triples, on the platform doing singles, whatever. There's going to come a time where you're going to test your outcomes.
Yeah.
Usain Bolt doesn't go out and run 100 meters over and over and over again to be the best at running 100 meters. He does other shit to increase his potential for speed to run the 100 meters in 9.4 or whatever he does. Yeah. Same for training. In a strength pursuit, you are spending most of your time improving your potential for strength.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your muscle, your control, your stability, required mobility, nothing more, and your neural, call it efficiency. Really, it's inefficiency.
Yeah.
You're trying to improve all of those things. They're not, that all of those boxes aren't being ticked doing low bar triples 52 weeks a year.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So more time building potential strength, then express it when you need to.
Yeah.
Not expressing strength for Instagram 48 weeks a year and then taking a recovery after you comp.
Absolutely.
I will pretty much double down on that. Mine 100% is taking an off season. I've had a few athletes come through that have never had time away from the comp variations of their lifts, let alone from the barbell itself.
Mm-hmm.
So wondering why the niggles don't stop and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Brother, my shoulders and wrists would hurt as well if I go from barbell bench to barbell back squat every week, 52 weeks a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, taking the time for strength athletes to have an off season and actually treat their training and nutrition like a physique athlete, aim to recomp, increase their muscle mass. The bigger the cup, the more water it can hold. Mm-hmm. Increase your muscle size, increase your potential for strength. Do all of that. And then you're going to get stronger and you're going to get better at expressing that strength in the comp variations.
Yeah.
So, doubling really down on what Ben said.
There's one other thing that I'd layer in there, and that's missing out on aesthetic progression.
As
and
in
a lot of powerlifters don't like to admit this because a lot of them don't want to commit to the pursuit of it, or they feel like if I pursue an aesthetic goal that says something negative about me. Every single powerlifter I've ever worked with, when they look better, get excited.
Yeah.
So if you're just beating the shit out of yourself, the numbers aren't moving on the barbell, you're frustrated, you've got niggles, how long are you staying in the game for? Versus let's go do an off season and all of a sudden you get like, Ben, look at my back. Ben, look at my I have quads. Look at my glute.
And the shoulders from not doing lateral raises through the 8 weeks of a powerlifting prep.
All of a sudden, motivated to train.
Yeah.
Effort goes up. Excitement's back. I fucking love going to the gym again. Like you were saying before, nutrition's better, recovery's better, sleep's better, adherence is better. So I think missing out on an opportunity to look better, which in my experience, everyone I've ever worked with, and let me be honest, I came from a physique background and I attract people that want to look and lift. So maybe that's my own little echo chamber, but I'm 100% success rate. When people look better, they perform better.
Yep.
Yeah. What about you with physique athletes specifically? Or bodybuilders? Let's go.
What they do that don't seem valuable. Chasing strength too much.
Yeah.
There just becomes a point. It's good to be strong to lift a large amount of weight and expose your muscles to large degrees of tension. But there just becomes a point where pursuing any more strength than that is not valuable at all.
Yeah, agreed.
And then, you see them doing, I get it. You get into training, you like the pursuit of strength and you want to see how much you can lift. It's dangerous. You're not peaked for it. Yeah. You're just running the risk of injury and there's really no benefit to it by your ego. So I think anything around that 3 reps, 2 reps, 1 rep is just not really that valuable. Yeah. And then I would just say, just the hyper fixation on, isolation, even within isolation, it's really hyper isolated exercises. Everyone's just moving away from staple compound movements because there's evidence and a model to help these people, like, kind of portray that you have to be stable to get the most stimulus. It's like, I've brought some really big compound movements back into the training programs for some of my boys and girls, and I'm getting really good fucking results with them. And I think it's because now they're big, they're strong, they have good mind-muscle connection, which is just skill.
Yeah.
So now when you bring them back to the barbell, they are working really efficiently.
Yeah.
And like, what's bad about acute situations where you can brace and internally stabilize your body? Like, it's still going to have a really good transient effect across everything.
Yeah.
Someone asked me the other day, like, what food are you most excited about post-cut? And I was just like, more rice.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the same for training. Like, what I'm most excited about of having a recovery capacity is to do them again. Because it's like I've slowly over the last 8 to 10 weeks just moved away from the barbell because it's like it's not there.
It's a natural progression though. Because
Agreed.
People don't understand. It's not that you're a pussy. Your joints lose the protection inside them. Like, there's fat pads in your joints, and like you've got fat around your joints and your muscles are depleting of glycogen. You've just got less support.
Yeah, I'm just like, I know my output is limited by this exercise, so I'm going to do a different exercise that my output's not limited for.
Absolutely.
Fucking send it. And then as soon as my program's already basically written in my head because there's all the shit that I haven't been able to do.
Yeah.
So I think, that concept makes a lot of sense, getting back into those big compounds. I would add, I'm curious what your thoughts are for male lifters, but for females, it's definitely not staying in surplus for long enough.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I'm probably just in my own echo chamber because, like, I've attracted a group of
your girls have all done it lately.
Strong women who are committing to their build, and I've got one at the moment. She was like, I feel a bit slow, a little bit uncomfortable, and she looks amazing. Yeah, right. And I'm like, you are in this spot right now that we need to just mitigate that feeling. Because I said, if you want that picture where it's like, holy fuck, that's me. I'm like, we just have to stick in this for a little bit longer. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not just gassing you up for no reason. I'm like, you look strong. Yeah. Like, you look the way you perform. But I'm like, I know you want to chip, and we can get a lot out of this. So, it's just getting her to understand that. And then feedback was just like, oh, that's makes so much sense. Yeah. And I'm happy to dig a little bit longer because I'm like, most girls get to, I feel. And I'm like, but you look great. Yeah. So if we can mitigate the feel, let's make the meal smaller. Let's look at, the types of food to make sure the digestion's better. Because most of the time, like, they still stick to foods that are what they typically eat when they're cutting. High fiber. Yeah, that's rough. High food volume. Yeah.
Oh, it's like, you're so ingrained. It's so ingrained for so long as a woman. Like, diet, small. Eat these foods.
Avoid sugar. Avoid calorie-dense foods. Yeah.
People still eating Spud Light in their surplus and shit like that. I'm like,
and eating it with the skin on too. Yeah.
Why do you want 700 grams of? It sounds good until you're doing it all the fucking time.
Absolutely. And then they walk around
distended.
Yeah, and it's like, the fourth week of every month. Yeah. On top of that, and it's like, I feel like shit. Yeah, So trying to move all that down, add a little bit of cardio, small movement throughout the day between meals and shit. Yeah. And then like, she's gonna have that wow factor because she's spent more time building than losing.
Yeah. So if you would agree though, across population of female physique focused, surplus is not enough. Do you think men are the opposite? They accept too much body fat because they feel big?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Even just chasing calories. Like, I've done a lot of looking into just how much of a surplus you actually need to drive muscle adaptations, like, muscle hypertrophy. And it's like, man, when you look at it, it's not that much. Like even
5%.
Like 100, 200 calories. Yeah. And then the subject groups that go beyond that, like, just put more fat on, but not the same amount of muscle. So for the boys, it's like you got to kind of remove them from the mindset of, like, the body weight going up rapidly is like a gauge of success. Yeah. Realistically, protein has to be high, between 2 and 3 grams. Yeah. Generally. And then the calories need to match the maintenance level of the person, and then you just can chip a little bit. the adjustments you have to continue to make is like as the person gets heavier, their maintenance calories changes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But we're talking like
Not much.
minuscule changes. You know what I mean? Talking like, I don't know, 5-10 grams of carbohydrates a week or something along those lines, right? So for the boys, it is a feeling, but it's a different feeling.
Yeah.
They love the feeling of
filling
the
out.
t-shirt feels, because I can even feel it in this. I'm like, fuck, man, I feel like I'm swimming in this
I'm
thing.
the same, yeah.
Where like
I hate it.
you just want the size,
You want it to hang.
but you don't care if like you're adding on half a kilo a week.
Yeah.
And realistically, even just looking at like rates of synthesis to put muscle on,
Yeah.
like that's just too much.
Yeah.
Like get half a kilo rump steak,
Yeah.
put it out on
Build
the plate,
that
and
week.
it's like you're putting that on in a week,
Not a
brother.
chance.
One
Yeah.
thing. One,
About 2 grams a week.
Every week.
Yeah.
Every week too.
I feel like the intervention is the same, but just for totally different reasons. I know you don't sort of use measurements, but I'll put in a waist measurement benchmark for the girls to be like, I promise I won't make you fatter than this.
Yeah.
And it's usually less than when we started. So like 90% of the time, girls that come in want to get leaner first.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, we've just pulled your waist measurement down by 6 centimeters. Are you willing to be 3 centimeters smaller than when you first started? Yeah, of course. All right, well, that's our cap. So if you were 80, if you had a 70 centimeter waist and we pulled you down to 63, we're going to allow you to get to 66. And then we'll do a mini cut and go again. Are you comfortable with that? Yep. And that's just buy-in for them to be like, he's not going to make me fat.
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
And then for the boys, it's like, so I've just got to, it was 78.5. And in my head on the way out, I'm like, 80 is the number.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If I get my waist to 80, you're starting to get fat, bro. You're not building muscle. And that might be a mini cut and go again.
I think, yeah, something that will always like repeat in my head and something like that you always say is to stop being so proud of how many calories you eat, whether you're in a cut or in a surplus.
Yeah.
Like,
Just eat
stop
what you need to.
bragging that you can cut on 20, like as a female, 2,200 calories. Cool, that's fine. Some people actually need fucking 1,300 for certain periods of time. And, you know, in extreme preps and blah, 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 even less than that.
Yeah,
But it's like, stop wearing your calorie intake as a badge of honor.
Actually, pretty often that they need less than that. Like, there's a lot of little humans getting around.
I got girls 48 kilos,
Yeah.
bro. So if you
Yeah.
want to lose weight,
Yeah.
like you go calories per kilo,
Mm-hmm.
a lot, and you get down to 20 calories a kilo.
Yep.
It's not like, yeah, and that's like, that opened my eyes because you have these like, even as a coach of women, like you have these safe zones in your head and then you start getting lower towards that 1,500 and you're like, oh, well, too low.
Yeah, it's like, that's bad.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, no, like depends on the person.
Yep.
And then for, I guess, the men in the instances we're talking, cool, enjoy your 4,500 calories a day, brother. Like you, depending on the person and the situation and the lean body mass and all the things. But it's like, you probably don't need that much. And there's a reason why every time you cut, you're like, oh, well, shouldn't get that fat next time.
Yeah, you'll never hear me say, like, project now, like, one of my boys,
Calories,
like, eats 6,800 in his, there's like 900 grams of carbs a day.
Yeah.
And
That
then even
makes
now,
me physically ill.
even now, he's like, first fat loss push, 3,800 calories in like 3 weeks, dropped like 5 kilos.
Yeah.
But you'll never hear me say it because
Yeah.
he's 128 kilos
and
of
a
muscle.
mutant.
Yeah, and he's walking and moving and shit. I'm just like, no, he's just like it. At the end of the day, everyone has a range, and it's most likely going to be from like the 50, 55 calorie kilo mark downwards to the 20 calorie kilo mark. So then you're just relatively distributing that to the person. So that's where you don't really get into this like, oh, this person is on too low of calories. It's like you've got a bit of a range to work with.
Yeah.
And then you just apply that to the person.
Yeah.
So Susan, who's 48 kilos, if she's at 20 calories a kilo, like that's going to be like 960 calories, for example. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's not fine. It's just you won't do that for a period of time
It just
Yeah.
is.
to elicit an outcome. And I could do 20 calories a kilo, which I am, and it's like I'm eating 1,800. So it's like, so that's okay for me because it's 1,800, but it's not okay for Susan because it's 980 calories.
Yeah,
It's
well,
like, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm getting really good results.
Yeah.
Maybe she could too if she just did it for 2 to 4 weeks and then you had the capacity and the skill set to acutely manage her fatigue
and stress. Yeah.
It's
just turn it.
it's definitely the lack of understanding, and it's like the only reason. So yes, we're saying it's okay for a certain period of time, but like for Susan or for Stacy listening, that's like, okay, cool, well, I'm gonna chuck it down to, because that's 1200 calories for me, like at my body weight, like just
Which you get peeled on.
Yeah.
Fucking January, let's fucking go. But it's understanding that the amount of nutrients that your body is able to have in that period of time is the reason why you can't do that long term. And I think people forget that it's like, doesn't matter how well you eat during that period. And that's also why people often feel better in a cut. They're like, well, I feel really good and my calories are really low. Yeah, babe, because you added fucking vegetables to your meals.
Yeah.
Like you added vegetables
you're stacking all of the good foods in your diet.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I guess them understanding that, the cognitive effects, the lack of recovery, the lack of actual food you can actually get in to do the things it needs to do nutrient wise. Like that's why you can't do it long term.
Absolutely. And look, without this going on much longer, because we do have to wrap things up, it's not a lifestyle.
My stomach just rumbled.
That's
Really?
you, right. I wasn't sure who that was.
Yeah. Hello there,
That's effort.
It's not a lifestyle. And that's the problem. So when people have these apprehensions around it, they're like, oh, and coaches do a lot. It's like, I can't. It's like, you absolutely can.
Yeah.
It's just that you have to make sure that this person understands that they're not going to live this way.
Yeah.
Correct.
Managing nutrition through calorie and macro control is the lifestyle. The selection of calories and macros is the lifestyle. The lifestyle is the management factor. Yeah. So where people say like, yeah, but you can't sustain that. Of course you can't fucking sustain a deficit. It's a deficit.
No one can sustain a fat loss diet.
So the lifestyle you're learning is to manage your energy balance and your macronutrients. They're just going to vary in the amounts.
The lifestyle's the habits.
Literally.
Forward-thinking nutrition, train, move your body, hydrate yourself, sleep well. That's the sustainability part of it. Then you just turn the dials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that note,
completed it, mate. Bang. All right. That was good.